Is there a right and wrong way to do a compression test on your engine? Today, we explore compression testing. We get to see the results of today's test compared with the last time I did a compression test on this engine. And we talk about compression testing on a warm engine versus cold, as well as see the difference when I pour a little oil on top of the piston. A lot going on today, all to ultimately chase a rough idle I've been battling on this 2005 GMC Envoy. So pay attention here as there are multiple points to catch. And I'll be back a little later to sum things up. Well, I have that Vortec airbox off. You can see I also have two of the coils removed. And looking even deeper, you can see I have this first spark plug removed as well. And to my eye, everything seems to be pretty normal here. These are relatively new plugs. The reason why I'm doing this right now is because I removed the airbox to get a better look at the throttle body, the throttle plate, see if it needed some cleaning. And of course, while I'm here, I thought, you know what, let me pull off a couple of these ignition coils and look down in the spark plug well. And when you do look down in there, you can see there is a little bit of oil around that spark plug. Now the interesting thing here is I've already replaced that valve cover gasket as well as those spark plug well gaskets, and that was very recent as well. I was doing all of this to just try to keep up on the maintenance while also chasing a rough idle issue, which I'm still chasing. These are just a 10 millimeter. Just remove the electrical connector, and then the other part is the boot. Does want to come off of these and stay on the spark plug. Not a big deal, but just annoying. Okay, this one I was able to remove with the boot still on it, so that's good. Again, these are also brand spanking new. I replaced all of these, which they did not need to be replaced, but again, chasing a rough idle, I'm like, why not just replace all these? And didn't solve anything. But I'm still running them because they're a good NGK brand. I still have all the old ones, the factory ones, if I need them. Well, all the coil packs have now been removed, and I can confirm that there is a very similar amount of oil in each one of these spark plug wells. So it essentially means that those gaskets aren't sealing very well, which means I definitely need to tighten this valve cover down just a little bit more from what I initially did, which I'm pretty sure was factory spec. All right, gonna remove the second spark plug from the front. Man, please don't break on me. Oh, goodness. This is an aluminum head, so it really makes me nervous when they're that stuck, but I mean, I only do these things to about 13 foot-pounds. They just kind of get wedged in there. The engine is cold, by the way, completely cold. I mean, other than the oil on the threads, spark plug looks great. Well, here are all the plugs and coils. This is the first one, the front of the engine, and they all look very similar except when you get to this fourth plug. The one thing I'm finding on this fourth plug, you can see there's a little bit of white colored or silver colored kind of corrosion. That's the only difference I'm seeing with this fourth plug back than all the others. All of the others look exactly the same. And this one doesn't even really look that bad. You know, you look at this side, turn it around, and you look at this side, and you see that. So of course, my thought process is worst case scenario. We have a head gasket issue. That's proof right there, you know, but I am curious if perhaps I'm having an injector issue. That's what I've been suspecting for a long time, is that maybe one of my injectors was just acting funny. I don't know. I think that the thing that I need to do is get this compression test going, but I am happy that I found something. If it's a head gasket issue, I'm not gonna be happy because that is a very, very big job. I'm not even sure I can do that. But let's get the compression test underway to hopefully validate things. Well, I've got the fuel pump relay pulled here. That way the pump won't be running, pushing fuel when I try to start this thing. I have my compression tester here. As much as I would like to just start off with that fourth cylinder back, I'm gonna start with just the first one here. All right, with these things, you simply just hand thread them in. I'm gonna hold the gas pedal down all the way to open the throttle plate, and here we go. All right, we're up at about 180, a little over 180. With this scale, I'm guessing maybe that's 185. All right, this is the make or break moment, guys. Here we have the compression tester into the cylinder 4 with the one spark plug that looked a little different. Same thing, I'm gonna hold down the gas pedal, opening the throttle plate. Here we go. We're certainly not lacking for pressure, as I'm looking at 210 PSI. Okay, well, that makes me happy. It means I don't have to do a head gasket job. Hopefully not yet. So far, cylinder 1 and cylinder 4 seem to be within spec. Now, I do remember when I did the compression test on this thing before, and these were somewhat the same numbers I got before. I'll have to look back at that video. I did make a video about that, but that's interesting. So I am very curious now if I just have an injector that's either not putting any fuel in or putting too much fuel or not enough or something like that. When I look down into the hole at the top of the piston, that cylinder 4, the one that had the spark plug that looked weird, the top of that piston does look smooth. It looks not like the others. So that's also what was kind of leading me to suspect, you know, a head gasket issue with coolant going in, steam cleaning that top of that piston, but maybe it has something to do with fuel. Maybe there's just tons of fuel being dumped in. That could be the case as well. Second cylinder back, we're looking at about 205. All right, third cylinder back, we're looking right at about 210. Well, fifth cylinder back, we're looking right at about 200. And all the way back in the sixth cylinder, we're sitting on, what is that, 210, 215, 220. Well, I decided to run the first cylinder again just because that's the lowest one, and we got the same result, just over 185. It's probably, I don't know, 187.5 or so. All right, well, there you have it, guys. My lowest and highest, we are sitting at about 85%, and I believe that's okay. I think you want to be within 75% between the lowest and highest. Although this 180 is somewhat of an anomaly, being below 200, the rest of them are all above 200, and this one is about 85% of 220. So I think we're good here. Well, I have a little bit of oil here. I'm going to pour down into that first cylinder and see if we can get a change in result. So the whole theory behind this is if that number increases after I've poured oil in there, that means that the piston rings themselves are worn and the oil is helping to seal up those rings. If the number doesn't change, that means there's potentially something wrong with the valves. Maybe they're carboned up and not seating properly and letting some of the pressure out. So let's see if we get a change in the number. Holding the throttle plate open, and here we go. We are sitting at about 210 there, which means we were at about 185, 187 or something like that. And now with a little oil on the top of the piston, we're sitting at 210, which means that those piston rings are a little bit worn. I am very curious though. I don't know enough about this kind of stuff to know if going from 185, 87 to 210 is that big of a difference, or maybe that's kind of normal. I'm sure to some extent all piston rings are going to, you know, change when you pour oil on top of the piston. The oil is just going to help to seal. By the way, this is a completely cold engine. Normally when you do a compression test like this, I feel like you want the engine up to operating temperature first, and that is to allow the piston rings to heat up and everything to seal properly. So this may be totally inconclusive in terms of oil on the pistons helping seal the piston rings. That may change with every single one of them simply because the engine is cold. And just to test the it may simply be because the engine is cold theory, I went ahead and put a little oil in that second cylinder back, which before I believe was at 205. Yep, second cylinder was at 205. So I'm gonna put the gauge in there, and you know, I don't know how much higher you could possibly go from 205, but I think was our highest number 220, so potentially we can go to 220. Let's just test this theory. I mean, it's a cold engine. My theory is simply that no matter what cylinder we put oil in, because everything is cold, that oil is going to help to seal everything up. So let's see if we can gain on that 205 in the second cylinder back. If so, I'm not as concerned about it. Opening the throttle plate, here we go. You can see we went from 205 on the second one back all the way up to like 230. So I think my theory is correct here. Essentially, it's a cold engine. An engine to seal properly needs to be heated up to operating temperature. That allows all of the metals and everything to expand and seal. With a completely cold engine, those piston rings aren't sealed very well to the cylinder walls. By adding oil, it of course is going to help it seal and thereby give us better compression. Well, what'd you think? Did I do a good job? Were the numbers sufficient? Roughly 85% between that first lowest cylinder and the highest. I did mention a suspected bad injector, and yes, that is exactly what my very next video is going to be. In that video, I'll be swapping out one injector. Can you guess which one? Yeah, just wait till you see what I found. So if you want to follow the saga on the 2005 GMC Envoy and getting this thing to run correctly, you have to stay tuned. Perhaps subscribe? But you can hit the thumbs up if you like this video. It really helps this video and the whole channel. I'm Jimmy for One Road, and I will see you in the next one.